to commence today, that you grant us the wisdom and understanding to be able to pilot the affairs of today's activities in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, we commit all our other members in your care. We pray, O God, that those in Asaba that will be joining the meeting, that you grant them safe trip down to the destination. And for those outside Asaba, we pray that you may grant them the grace to join online so that we'll be able to have a fruitful deliberation. These are many more blessings with us through Christ our Lord. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen. So, do I have the floor, Mr. VP?
Mr. President, you do.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, good afternoon, gentlemen. Yeah. So, I am going to strictly be guided by the agenda which was posted earlier on the notice of meeting by Mr. Secretary, Mr. Godswill Owesino. The first on the agenda is an update on the new account. I'm not going to spend so much time on this because the minutes of, hold on, before we go forward, the minutes of the last meeting will be read by the secretary after any, if there are any observations or corrections to be made, we should know. So please, I will give the floor to Mr. Secretary now to read the minutes of meeting for the last meeting.
Good afternoon. The minutes of the annual general meeting held on Easter Monday, April 5, 2021, as agreed for Asaba. The meeting started at 4:02 p.m. The opening prayer said by Patricia Edozie One. The outgoing president gave his speech. He started by first
Oliya, please, can you unmute yourself? Okay,
I'm back on.
Okay.
The next agenda, which was the constitutional review stroke adoption, was noted. It was recalled that the constitution has been duly amended and adopted at our meeting held at Squash Club during our 2020 end of year reunion. Swearing of new executive. The outgoing president performed the swearing of the new president in the person of Patricia Edozie Wanje. The new president in turn performed the swearing of the other executive, which comprised of Patricia Laleti Vice President, Patricia Ngoso the Secretary, Patricia Iwedunode the Treasurer, Patricia James Itinagede Provost, and Patricia Mokolo Tony Amishe, the Financial Secretary. The newly sworn in president proceeded with his inaugural speech In this speech, he thanked the various escorts for their service and also paid tribute to his predecessor for holding down the house these past 3 years. He went further to appreciate the 2021 electoral committee for the job well done, commending them on the fact that they performed the noble task of conducting the elections with their own resources. He went further to say that the first item on the agenda of the newly sworn-in executive will be the opening of a new account for the group, which will bear the name St. Patrick's College as proposed Boys Association 2002. He also pleaded with the House that all payments will now be suspended pending opening of the new account. The House agreed to the idea. The House agreed to the idea of opening the new account and suspension of all payments pending the account. The handover of all historical documents was done by the outgoing president to the new executive, AOP. Practitioner Emeka Dike advised the new president to work in tandem with the new escorts and not to be a one-man squad. He also raised the issue of weapon packages to the members in need. Practitioner Eze Emmanuel said that we should reach out to members and offer assistance to each other. He also raised the issue of putting in place modality said that members can voluntarily host the general house meetings. Patricia Bobuka thanked the House and appealed to the outgoing executive to continually offer support to the group, and that as regards to welfare, it was the right thing to do. The new president, speaking further, is the border on ground where the House WhatsApp group will be last to enable members place advice on the WhatsApp platform about their businesses and job. He said in so doing, the ESCO will be vigilant as to avoid scams, stating that the provost will be proactive as the gatekeeper when it comes to approving information for posting in the book. He enjoyed everyone on the platform to always submit their posts for vetting to the provost via direct message to him before posting on the general platform. Patricia Mongolo Jeffrey, in his part, stated that he wants the schools to ensure that they are always guided by the principle of accountability. This was supported by Patricia Ikeju. In his reply, Mr. President said that he on the agenda of the UNESCO was the issue of accountability, stating that as the major reason, stressing that as the major reason, a new account will be opened. Going further, he said the new account will have 3 signatures: President, the Secretary, and the Treasurer. And text message alert and email notifications will be sent to the Treasurer and Financial Secretary respectively. He also said the account statement by Patricia John to provide a banner for the House. Patricia Nwaeze Emmanuel informed and invited the House to the forthcoming location of his child on the 25th of April 2021 at Assemblies of God Church at ICU, with reception taking place at his residence right when with no further issues raised. Patricia James Otinabeda moved the motion for adjournment of meeting, which was supported by Patricia Emeka Dike. Patricia Mongolo Jeffrey said in opening prayer. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, that is it for the minutes of meeting. Please, I hope we heard the major points or the high points of the meeting, the minutes of the last meeting. Please, if there are any corrections or observations that we have, kindly indicate, that is, if you are in diaspora, kindly indicate in the chat session if you have any observations or corrections of today's meeting. Next up on the agenda of today's meeting is an update cardinal points of my campaign manifesto. I had told the house that I am desirous of opening a new account for the house, which I'm desirous of opening a new account for the house, which would carry the name of the set, basically. So I'm glad to inform all of us that we have been able to open a book account. I'm glad to let everybody know that we have been able to open a group account which carries the account name St. Patrick's College Asaba, Old Boys Association, class of 2002. So we opened that account with Union Bank, which this past week I was able to collect the checkbook, which I am now displaying for everybody in the house here to see. So the account has been set up in such a way that there are 3 signatories to it. There is the president, the secretary, and the treasurer. So at any point in time, if there's going to be disbursement from the account, the president and any other of the signatories are going to sign. That is either the president and the secretary, or the president and the treasurer. So you will be able to track expenditure, no money left the account, and for what purpose. Because at that point in time, we will be able to issue checks via. That is that for now. On this new account, I would like to acknowledge everybody so far who have paid their dues and say thank you very much to everybody. The monthly dues is the monthly dues is 500 naira, and if you pay at the rate of 3 months, it comes to 1,500. If you pay at the rate of 6 months, it comes to 3,000. If you pay at the rate of 1 year, it comes to 6,000. I know that some of us have been worried or feel that Mr. Treasurer has been forceful in his funds drive. But I want to appeal to all of us that if we all pay our dues as and at when due, when we are supposed to pay, then there will be enough money in the purse to run all sundry activities. So please, I am pleading with everybody, try to pay your dues as and at when due, so that there will be some money in the purse. Now, Mr. Treasurer and Mr. Finesec have the mandate to drive for funds, and you will periodically always get some reminders from Mr. Treasurer or Mr. Finesec as to dues. So please do not take it badly if you see these reminders coming up intermittently. Like is the normal practice of Mr. Treasurer he normally posts reminders about 5 times. The reason it is posted like that is because in our chat room there are a lot of people posting information at the same time. So what we try to do is post enough reminders that will let everybody see and remember that, oh, this is important information. So it is not as if Mr. Treasurer is trying to get on anybody's nerves. He's just doing his funds drive. Now that's that for the group account. The second thing on the agenda is the update on the banner which was pledged by Patrician and Major John. I would like to update the house that banner is in the works. It is being produced, and hopefully it will be produced and ready before our next meeting. The reason we need to have that banner, like we have stated before, is that whenever we want to have a meeting, wherever we are going to have the meeting, we can hang the banner so that whoever is coming into the area will know that there is a meeting going on here, or there is a meeting of this association going on. So I want to assure every one of us that Patricia and Major John is committed and has promised to fulfill production of the banner this week we are entering. So I will take delivery of the banner from him. And that's for that. Number 3 on the agenda is Patrician Gwam Nnamdi's white wedding. We are hopeful that Patrician Gwam Nnamdi will tell us the dates for his white wedding, which hopefully should hold in Asaba. Towards that night, we are hoping that we can all pay at least a token or a levy of 1,000 naira for Patricia Gwam Nnamdi's white wedding. But that will be dependent on when exactly he informs us of the dates for his white wedding. So for now, on that, we will just plead or crave your indulgence to please stay tuned, and then when we put a call across to him and get that information, we can let the house know based on him giving us the formal invitation for his white wedding. Next on the agenda is the legacy project.
You should ask the house as a question. Issue of 1,000 naira. I don't know if that's what's in our condition.
Okay. Gentlemen, please. As I have stated, when I am done speaking, we can make our observations. Like I said, we don't know the date yet of Patricia Gwam's wedding, but when he gives us a definite date, it is expected that there will be a levy to that effect. The next thing on the agenda is the legacy projects that are going to be embarked on by this executive. And we have a list of legacy projects. I'm going to list them in this order. There are 4 proposed legacy projects which we have. Number 1 is a seminar we want to undertake for SS2 and SS3 students to guide them on career choices. That is one of the things we are thinking of doing, to have a talk whereby any of the old boys who resides in Asaba will be a resource person to come and talk to SS2 and SS3 students and guide them on career choices. The second legacy project which we are proposing is the provision of solar panel and inverter for the staff room. We think that it will be a nice one if we are able to give constant power to the staff room, at least, so that the fans, the sockets can always be working. So that is one of the proposed projects which we are thinking about, to keep the solar panel and an inverter for the staff room. The third legacy project which we are proposing, or which we are thinking about, is the empowerment of some duly selected members of this set, of this our old boys set, to empower them. When I say to empower them, we are thinking of picking 1 or 2 persons from this set who will give us their business plans or tell us what they do and why they should qualify for that empowerment. And we are hopeful that we will be able to raise up a committee that will do selection. That committee will come up with the modus operandi or the criteria which will be used for selection of any noble brother that is going to be empowered, because we want to do that project probably once in our tenure, and our tenure is 2 years, so we can have a situation whereby we pick one person who the house will just give a post to do whatever business he's doing. Now, last but not the least, we are looking at another project whereby we can give scholarships to any deserving SS3 student by way of enrolling or paying for their WAEC enrollment. Now, this we will do with the guidance of the management of the school, because we can't just randomly pick any students. We will ask the school to give us a deserving student who they know has been performing well academically and who
check. The audio is bad.
That is a rundown of the legacy projects we are. That's a rundown of the legacy projects which we are thinking of embarking on. And I will
You're back. Mr. President, you're back.
So sorry for the break in transmission. I'm back online now. The final thing on the agenda is the end of year reunion. Now, for the end of year reunion, because we used to refer to it as end of year party, we cannot just limit it to saying it's an end of year party where we just come to eat and make merry. No, it is a program of activities which we do yearly. So we have decided that this year it is going to be termed the 2021 end of year reunion. And for an end of year reunion, there is always a list of activities which we do, namely the novelty football match, the outreach, the works of charity which we do, and of course the end of year get together. We are proposing this year that we add a church service where we will do a Thanksgiving, where members of the set who reside in Asaba will pick a Sunday, which most likely
Hello? Hello?
formally notifying us that the sum of 5,000 naira has been fixed as the end of year reunion levy. Now, the caveat there is that you can spread out your payments for the end of year reunion. You don't have to pay the 5,000 naira once, but we would like to impress it upon us that the minimum amount that is expected to be paid by every member is 5,000 naira. So you could, for instance, split it 2 times, 2,005, 2,005. But I would urge all of us to please consider the fact that we are going into the 6th month of the year, and to lessen the burden on each of us, let us plan towards this thing earlier. Let us start doing this thing now, so that by October, November, we are not under pressure. So I am officially notifying us that we are now taking payments for the end of year reunion levy, which should be paid into the group account. There's only one account. Whatever monies you are paying in, when you are doing transfers, please kindly write the description of your payment. For instance, when some people are paying their levies, they normally say levy for subscription or dues. So please, if you are paying for end of year reunion, kindly state it in your description when you are doing the transfer. And if you are paying for your dues, kindly state it to help the money men, that is the treasurer and the financial secretary, be able to compile proper records as to who paid for what and what was paid for. At this juncture, that will be all for the agenda of this meeting. At this juncture, please, if you have any observations, that is for those of us in diaspora, kindly drop your message in the chat box, and I will be ready to respond to any questions or observations that we may have. Thank you. Mr. VP, you have the floor now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President.
Mr. VP, kindly unmute yourself. Your mic is mute. Hello?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Thank you very
Mr.
much, Mr.
All right, thank you very much,
Thank you very
Mr.
much, Mr.
President.
President.
Well,
Well,
so far we
so
don't
far
have
we don't have
any
any
member
member
asking any question
asking
on the
any question on the
platform.
platform.
But somebody
But somebody
private chatted and
chatted
said
and said
there was no
there was
adoption
no
of the minutes.
adoption of the minutes.
So I don't know if
So I
it
don't
was
know
when
if it was when
you went off.
you went off.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. VP, for that question. Gentlemen, for those of us that joined a little bit late, the minutes of the previous meeting was read. And I had has any observations or corrections to be made that they should state so. So at this juncture, I'm going to repeat the question. Does anybody have any observations or corrections to be made to the minutes of the last meeting? Kindly signify now. So, in the event that nobody has any correction or observation to the previous meeting, please can somebody move for the adoption of the minutes of meeting of the previous minutes?
I will follow going. In order of no corrections, I move for the adoption of the last minute of the meeting.
Can it be seconded by somebody, please?
I, as indeed John, seconded the motion of the support to the minute of the previous meeting.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I think you have a question on the platform.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm just wanting to update and let us know that Mr. Mukolo Nkonye just moved the motion for adoption of the minutes of meeting of the previous meeting, and that motion was seconded by Mr. John Asindi. So the motion is adopted. Yes, Mr. Emejo, I'm seeing your question. You said that for those paying via USSD code, there will be no room for one to add any. There will be no room for one to add any comments or any description of payments. I'm going to give that question to Mr. Treasurer to answer. So please listen for Mr. Treasurer. I'm patching in.
Mr. Emejo John, I think that question, the only solution to it will be that whenever a member pays through the USSD code, all we need to do is to call on the said member and confirm what he is paying for, and confirm the particular payments. I think that has answered the question.
So, Mr. Emejo John, to re-emphasize what Mr. Treasurer just said, for anything you are paying via USSD code, when you pay and you get your text, kindly screenshot that text message, post it to the platform, and under write a description for what you paid for, and that will carry it.
Mr. President, I think in respect to Mr. Guam's wedding, I would like to ask that there are instances whereby some members don't pay their dues, and some members also don't contribute whenever a brother has an event, maybe burial or wedding. In such situation, what happens when the person is celebrating? Are we also obliged to contribute for that particular brother, or there will be some restrictions considering the fact that he has not contributed for any member before, and also he has not paid his dues?
Well, at this juncture, I will like to call on Mr. President Emeritus, who is here and who is very much abreast with the workings of the Constitution, to come and educate or enlighten the House on such matters before I make a final pronouncement.
Last question. Going through. What's that picture? My voice is all here. Greetings, noble patricians. Going through our constitution, we only honor people financially if they are financial members. And being a financial member, you have to be up to date, not less than 3 months. 3 months or 3 months, you must be up to date with your payments. Then for those attending events, we can just spread our brotherly love and attend the person's events, but no financial gift or commitment will be given to the person if the person doesn't pay anything at all or has not paid anything at all. We can just go to the event, then just see it. If possible, if they give us rice to eat, we'll eat. If they decide they won't give us, we'll come with us. We're not asking for food. So we need to ask or know what the person wants us to come and do there first. So if it's not a financial member, because for you to invite us first, they will check your records. If you're a financial member, if you'll be attending events, maybe for those in diaspora, maybe it will be difficult to be attending events, but you must be a financial member, both in dues and other financial obligations. Thank you.
So, gentlemen, we've heard the answer to that question. Just to round up and be specific, if you invite us for any occasion, wedding, child dedication, burial, whatever, before we honor it, we will check our records to make sure that you are a financially up-to-date member. And it is on that grounds that a pause will be raised for you. You cannot expect to reap from where you did not sow. If you did not pay anything or you have not paid anything for your dues, then you will not be entitled to a pause. We can only just give you body presence. We can only show up for a noble brother in that event. But when you are financially up to date, sure, definitely a pause will be raised for you. Thank you. Any other questions, please?
Mr. President, to check the chat,
yes, Mr. Okondu Emmanuel. Good afternoon. I saw the question that you asked, that is the 5,000 naira just for the end of year reunion. Yes, in answer to your question, the 5,000 naira is just for the end of year reunion. If you would recall, though you were not on this platform last year, the end of year reunion levy for last year was 3,000 naira. And to be honest, we were able to achieve a lot with that. But the reason we have decided to up it now is that no account, no association account should ever run on zeros or should run dry. It is going to be the practice going forward that for whatever projects or whatever things we want to do, monies will be taken from this one account, which I had shown all of us. Now, no matter the amount of monies that are contributed for the end of year reunion, every expense is going to be receipted. So we should be able, or we are going to be able to show you people what we did with your money. And for the plans that we have, take for instance, I know this, I'm digressing a little bit, but if I cast my mind back and look at what the 2000 sets, what it did last year, where they were able to host a dinner and gala night where some ex-teachers of ours were honored. If we are looking to do something like that, that we are going to produce maybe plaques or something to give the teachers, those things don't come cheap. You are going to somebody who produces a sign or a plaque, you are going to have to pay. So that is why we are looking at it that the 5,000 naira levy is okay, because for the array of activities which we will need to do. Take for instance, when we are going to do a Thanksgiving in church, you are going to put some money in the envelope and give. So these are things that we are going to use the monies for. Even when we want to do works of charity, that we are going to a motherless baby's home or to go and visit indigent people, old people's home, we are going to buy some items. It is from these levies that we are going to pay to buy those things. So that is why we have thought it wise that for this year, the dues for the end of year reunion will be 5,000 naira. Mr. Treasurer wants to say something.
Mr. Okondo Emmanuel, point of correction. The 5,000 is not a fixed price. It's the minimum you can pay for your end of year reunion. Because of who you are, we know you can do 1 million. So it is minimum of 5,000 naira and whatever you can add or whatever you can do for the house. So as for Emmanuel Okondo, I know you can do 1 or 2 million for the house. Thank you very much.
So, do we have any other questions, please? And for members physically present, please feel free to ask your questions.
Yes, my question is for the school project. Was the school carried along in making? You talk about doing solar panel for the staff and the seminar for the students. I was the school carried along in asking them their needs act so that we don't attend to an area that is already solved and leave an area that is not solved. That's for one. My second question is you talked about the empowerment of our fellow practitioners. You said you don't want to do it. I feel that if there's proper fundraising drive, it can be done once a year instead of once a year. Once a year might be too far. It's better if you done once a year so that more people can benefit.
Let me help. That's project. This is what we're doing. I think we didn't come on time. We listed about 4 or 5 projects that we think we can do. So it has not been finalized. But for sure, before we make such steps, we have to liaise with the school authorities to know what we can do. Just like you said, so that we don't come and something like that is already on ground and it will become so that's that.
Yes, I have a question here from Patrician Major John. The question he's asking is there any committee set out to plan this end of year reunion? Noble brothers, it has been well thought out, and we are of the opinion that the executives should be tasked with this project. When I mean the executives, all members from the president down to the provost automatically are going to be working as the end of year reunion committee. So, in answer to your question, the committee that is going to plan the end of year reunion will be the executives. There will be no need for selection or bringing out another committee, because we know that some of us are quite busy and have different schedules. So as the executives, we feel that it is our responsibility, and to whom much is given, much is expected. People voted for us to do the job, and I believe that one of the jobs will be to deliver a proper end of year reunion. So the executive will be tasked or will be responsible for planning and executing the end of year reunion program of activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to show my opinion about this particular question that just asked. In my opinion, I think it should be much more clear. We take some people from the executive, people from the house to come together to plan the executive. Let's come out from the normal style of doing it. So in my own opinion, I think it would be much more better for us to take something from the executive on the floor who are available and grab from the senior and help us plan. What to begin about to talk about the empowerment of the team. Instead, we will be empowering some of our members. Basically, one person by one person by 10. But I want to see from another light. I think it's a union, and if anything beneficial is going to come out, I would like to be part of it. I think you like to as well. I don't know how to go with me as a person, knowing that this person is empowered, this is empowered, this is empowered, I'm not empowered. I don't know the criteria of the system. But I think it's a good problem about doing something as a union. You understand? Something like empowerment, something like a business, something like a venture that will be to the benefit of each and every one of us. They might do it to be but I think that we have seen it from different like that. Let's not forget this number of men and different capacity and measures. We can have something set up in this Asaba for benefit of
the Yes, thank you, Patricia and Amadi, for that question or observation. Your first question or your first observation was that you think it would be nice or it would be better to have a melting pot, a combination of some people of the executives and some members of the House come together and be a committee for the end of year reunion. We would take that suggestion under advisement, but I want to reiterate that automatically all members of the executives are members of the end of year reunion planning committee. Now, like you said, people from the floor, members can be brought in, can be incorporated to get proper sampling of opinions on what members would like to see happen during the end of year reunion. But one thing is given, the executive, all the executive members are automatically members of the end of year reunion planning committee. Like we said, we will take it under advisement and allow for inclusion of other members of this house. Then secondly, for the other question where you talked about that, how are we going to run this empowerment? The truth is, all of us here, some people are more fortunate or more blessed than the other. we can't deny that fact. Some of us have jobs, some of us have businesses we are running, while some other people are not so economically viable. We are suggesting, or we are looking at it from the angle of helping brothers who are struggling economically. That is the where we are looking at it from. So a committee will vet whoever appeals for. Take for instance, I could be a vulcanizer and I come and say, oh, this is my hustle, this is what I do. You could be a tailor and say, this is what you do. Then you have to show us or prove to us that, oh, I don't have a shop, I don't have a sewing machine. We should see the reason why you should be helped. It's not just for any Tom, Dick, or Harry. What will happen is that a committee would be put in place and entries will be called for from brothers who want to partake in this scheme. And then a vetting process will be done and we'll pick one or two people who we can empower. So does that answer your question now?
I think when you said helping brothers who are in need, that sounded more like we know this brother really has need to help him as a house. But if you bring it like let's empower him differently, it will look as if we know that Frank has need, please let's help this guy. Come on, let's have it. But what I'm talking about is outside the whole empowerment and helping. I don't want to relate this number of people are working with numbers and millions. I want you and your community to think about what can SPC steps go to make happen in terms of investment of business for ourselves. Not just we gather communities and principals. Let's think about what can this coming together involve more than just coming to sit down and share the
Okay, in response to you now, already you would have noticed that we have a weekly template of activities. And for Mondays, we call Mondays advertise your profession, your business, your handwork. Now, on Mondays, I expect that somebody like you should be able to say, oh, Amadi and Sons Electrical Company. And somebody like Mr. Okoka Darlington, who is somewhere outside Asaba, should be able to throw business your way if he has somebody who has a house that needs wiring in Asaba. So what that activity on Monday is geared towards interconnectivity and interfacing. You understand? That is why we well, on individual levels, before you paste your business, because we have given that caveat that this is a no scam zone. Don't post something that you know is not genuine. You understand? And that is why we have always appealed that before you post anything, send it to any member of the executive. Initially, we used to say, oh, Mr. Provost. But it may happen that that point in time, Mr. Provost is not online. If we will all notice, yesterday night, I posted an employment opportunity which was passed on to me by Patricia Nebiku. You understand? And I've gotten tons of emails which are forwarded to him. You get? So in that light, already interfacing and rubbing of minds as per business ideas is already going on. Because I believe that when you hold your phone and you go through and say, this person is into this business, you can call up the person directly, DM the person. Now, let me give you another example. Now, for this solar power project that we are proposing, I know one or two people in this group are into electrical works. Who says that we cannot call the person and say, okay, please give us a quotation to do this job? That is all still indirectly empowering a brother. Because when the person does the installation or buying of, the money goes to you, it goes to your pocket. But of course, we expect that you will give us a subsidy because this is a project we are doing for our alma mater. So I'm just trying to draw the analogy of like the question you are asking. Already it is happening. It is already happening. And we are encouraging people to key in to this weekly activity templates, because by tomorrow I expect people who have heard this question you've asked, to be able to advertise your business, put your business on the platform, be visible, and expand your visibility. And then I will encourage all of us to be on the lookout and do more referrals. If I know that, oh, this noble brother is into this business, I do referrals. Take for instance, I have a couple of friends who have pets or animals that they keep as pets, and I always refer them to Mr. Treasurer because I know he's a veterinary practitioner. So we don't, as in, informally already, this is already happening. But like you rightly said, we would also take this your observation or your suggestion into consideration, and if there's any way we can fine-tune it or come up with a more broader platform for interconnectivity and interfacing, be sure we will. Now, Mr. President Emeritus, you had your hands raised. Can I take your question now?
It's concerning the 2021 reunion. And I don't know, my own thoughts. It should be okay if a committee is raised, it will be better if a committee is raised. The president, the current president, will be part of that committee, who can now feed the ESCO or whatsoever the committee reports to him. Because it's like you duplicating two jobs. Now we have a working executive. Now you are taxing that working executive with a program that is a side program. So I believe for the vision of labor and easy achievement of this particular task, it will be better we get some persons totally different from the executive, but the president will be a member of that committee. The president and treasurer. Treasurers for disbursement, and so because the whole money still goes to the forum's account. So it will be better we have these two persons and maybe 3 other persons, 3 other members, maybe 2 physical, 1 in diaspora, to form this committee. But that's my own opinion.
You wanted to respond to him, or I thought you wanted to make. No, let me respond to him now.
Okay, I'm sure that a response.
Okay, make it off.
Thank you very much. My name is Mr. James. In line with what you just want to believe, this present person have really come to like being fit to make sure that we can so we decided to we have decided that we can take the bullet. Taking the bullet in any form, even when there is, let me not just indicate this, when there is extra and needed cash, we will bring extra money. So we want to see how we can champion this location and see how we can. In doing this, we give account on how money are being produced. I want to see how we can do it.
Respond to my question.
Okay, no, I want to add to what he said.
Okay.
Good afternoon, brother. My name is First of all, before for the end of year reunion came up, you understand? The escorts have already discussed it. You understand? Now we did not reach to an agreement. We did not say this is what. Like I remember, somebody like Amechi suggested that we should raise an external committee group for this, and I think I have been part of the last two EYPs, and the trend has always been raising a committee. You understand? To add to the ESCOs to help get a successful. I wouldn't lie, I was one of the members who opposed him and said that since we are running a single treasury account, you understand, we better we the ESCOs plan it within ourselves, but we'll always or any idea whatsoever. But from what I got from what Mr. Jakes, the emeritus, was saying, I still think that we, the ESCO, will still have to consider, because it's obvious that the house will not forget the number of people here. We might come tomorrow and say it in the group, and the house there will be an opera. We all know how SPC goes. You know, when there is a war, you can see 1 million messages in 10 days. You understand? So, Mr. President, I want us to look into this matter and review it. Now, since to me, we already have a single treasury account, we can bring in somebody that can make inquiries from the house, like which hall, how to go about it, what kind of activities are going to come out or to make that particular reunion. Okay, so I want to agree with what Mr. James is saying, that we should try as much as possible to incorporate 1 or 2 members from the house physically, not just throwing it up for suggestions, because at the end of the day, it's used or not to make it. But I believe if we have someone that has the interest of the whole house at hand as a member of the committee to go a long way to help us have a successful.
Was it discussed in this before?
No. Yes,
it would have been better, Mr. President, for posterity and future reference. Things like the UIP, it's subject to discussion in the general house, not an ESCO issue. In the general house. Then it's in the general house, they will now decide, is ESCO then they get, when they run this matter for us. Someone can just champion the idea and it will be carried. Than coming to the house that the ESCO has decided they want to be EYP committee. Doesn't sound well to me. Thank you.
The observation is noted. Mr. Fensek, please, you have the floor now.
Sorry for I want to appreciate our presidency, like what the president. To me, with my own personal opinion, as an ESCO, we have programs. What is that program? You can't go to the house, like show something to the house. We have formal or maybe previous discussion. Like as I said, you can't just come and tell the house, but there should be a blueprint for our programs. Yes. That is one thing. Then the second one is this committee. I'll watch the house to give the ESCO time. And we'll go back and review the next month.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Fensek. Mr. Jakes, just to summarize, you made a good point here, and we want to state on the record that we cannot impose anything on the general house without the buy-in or the input of the general house. So we are proposing, we are suggesting that the ESCOs should form the fulcrum or the bulk of the end of year reunion planning committee. Nothing has been, it's not cast in stone. Like I said here and now, we will incorporate members of the general house who are residents in Asaba. Because everybody has their different schedules. And to be honest, I'm going to state it here and now. The reason why it makes more sense or basic sense that this end of year reunion should be planned and executed by the executive is that you want to have a unit that works or functions properly. If you get the point I'm trying to say. Now, if take for instance, Mr. John Asindi is not disposed or doesn't have time, and we opt him into a committee, his productivity will be low. Now, if we now have a separate end of year reunion planning committee and make somebody in that committee the treasurer or whatever, that person is going to be handicapped or power because he cannot disburse funds. And that is why I'm appealing that this matter be stepped down, we'll review it, but with a caveat, with an appeal that you should consider the majority or the bulk of the ESCOs to be foundation members of the end of year reunion planning committee. That is my take. So for now, let us take action or saying, oh, today we have come up with. For members who are living in Asaba and will be available and willing to do the job because it entails running around. Take for instance, the novelty football match. We will have to write a letter and take it to the principal that we want to use your field. We are coming to, that's going to be done by somebody. It might be me, the president, or I may delegate it to somebody else. I wouldn't like a situation whereby I give somebody a task and the person doesn't do it as an apprentice. So anybody that volunteers to be a member of the end of year reunion planning committee must be sure that they are coming on to work. So we are not closing anybody off. We are not cutting, saying no, you are not. No, we are going to incorporate people. But I still reiterate that the executives would be at the forefront. Like Mr. Provost said, we are going to champion the process and drive the process. That is just all we are saying. I'm not saying no, we are just going to come and plan something and give to you to take. No, but we are going to be at the forefront because that is what leading entails. So that's it. That's my point on that. Okay, Miss Patricia Emejo has some suggestions. I'm just going to read up. Patricia Emejo said, please, Mr. Chairman, I think the decision for the executives to handle the affairs of the reunion is okay. But please, let's remember our novelty match. It will be nice we start training on time. And then Patricia Abraham Sapele said, I support Mr. Chairman's opinion that all members of the executives plan the end of year reunion, but subcommittees could also be formed if need be to handle some logistics. Okay, noted. Patrician Oferi Emerenwe says, this is the prerogatives of the ESCOs and not the entire house. It is for reasons like this that an ESCO is elected. Let them do their job and not to dictate their job to them. To dictate their job to them. So these are the some opinions or observations of some people in diaspora that are on this meeting now.
There's a word policy in the transparency. You understand? So many people and we know there's executive and there's membership of this our opinion. Nobody is saying that the exports cannot have meetings. Nobody said we can have meetings. But I think it is on the floor, on the level playground, and how it's supposed to be. So make people active and make it a little bit open for them to also see what is happening in the expo conference. And there is no place where it is written that it must be executive that will handle stuff like that. So what I'm saying is, we know there are members in town. I'm not sure the executive the meeting for the end of the year 5 times or 3 times. It will be 2 or 3 meetings each together. So what I'm saying is, please, for the sake of transparency, for the sake of people being out active, many of those guests who are working, let's look for members who also have money to contribute, so that the EY will not just be the extra option. We know they can handle it, but we also know there are members who like to say, who bring it to make it happen. When you're handling about how to go and write it, what you have done before, also carrying. So please, I think it's happening to do yes.
Your observation is noted. Your observation is noted. I will be duly taking under advisement. Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
Let me see. Can we pick something else? All right, sorry. How do we complete our motion in a meeting? That's what I wanted.
A minute of meeting is being taken.
So those are what I mean. Like, if we decide that we're going to do this, how do we start for this to our table? Like, let's we see that aspect. And we're done with it.
A minute of meeting is being produced. Okay. At the next minute, at the next meeting, that minute will be read. Okay. And should there be any objection, because on this matter, I can tell you, because I am speaking for the executives who are all here present, and I am telling you in clear terms that we have heard your advice or suggestion, including that of President Emeritus, and we are assuring you that any member who is willing and available, underline the word willing and available, to partake in the end of year reunion planning activities, we will work with that person. But like I said, the executive form the bulk of people that are going to be working, because the major tasks which need to be done are tasks that are majorly going to fall under the purview of the executive. But should it be, or should it come up that, oh, there is something that Patricia Amadi can do in relation to preparation for the end of year reunion, and you signify, because like you said, my next meeting I could come up and say, please, anybody that wants to be a member of the end of year reunion planning committee, signify interest, with the caveat that you must be resident in Asaba. Because it's one thing to have an idea, it's another thing to execute. And to execute, you have to be on ground. So for that case, or for this issue, please, I feel we have deliberated on it enough and we can move ahead to something else.
Are we done with the...
Yes, we are.
Can we go to AOD? Or still structuring on elections?
No, Mr. Secretary wanted to.
I don't know, I can meet it this afternoon, but there is an agenda that I don't know if it's discussed. That's on the front. Please, can someone just talk to me?
It was announced, because I ran through the agenda, that we would get in touch with Patricia Guam Nnamdi to know the date of his wedding, and to get firm word from him on his wanting a house to attend. And then I remember a question was raised that, do we just attend any Noble Brothers events and give a pause, keeping in mind that some Noble Brothers are not financially active? And I made it clear, and let me repeat it again. If you invite us to any of your occasions and you are not financially up to date, being that you are in debt of your dues, you have not paid your dues, we can turn up for you, show up, body presence, but do not expect a pause from the house. Because I made a parable, you cannot reap where you did not sow. It is these monies we are all paying into the group account that is funding the group account. So you cannot expect to not be contributing anything and get something. So if we check our records, which we do have the records, the financial team is here and they are keeping those records, and see that you are not financially active, we will just show up, make merry with you, smile, and go home. We are not under any obligation to give you a pause so long as you are not financially active. Thank you. At this juncture, if there is no other question regarding the agenda, I think we will be moving to the AOB, the any other business. So at this point in time, for the benefit of all brothers who are on this meeting virtually, and for everybody here physically present, please, this is the any other business time. So for whatever questions for those virtual, put them, and then for anybody who is here, please, you can just signify by raising your hand, and Mr. Provost will give you the floor to speak. Thank you. Mr. Provost. Great.
I have some notes here, but I'll just read them from the top. My first issue I'd like us to track is the issue of timing of our meeting. When I saw 3 o'clock for the meeting, 3 o'clock is pretty early to me, pretty early for any meeting on a Sunday. I don't know if it's because of the virtual meeting that made us draw the time forward, or we are giving time for African man time. That was how we used the 3 o'clock. Because most churches closes by 1, 2, before 1. If we really want to encourage physical attendance, we've been using 4 o'clock, but I don't know why the change of time to 3. I struggle to come out by 3, past 3. And when I came, I saw the majority was the ESCOs and anyone to remember. So if we really need to encourage physical presence, physical meetings, physical presence of those residing in Asaba. And if we want to give room for that, I think 4 is fair. If we can have our meeting, okay, we started by 3 and this to 5, and we've done well from all that I met till now, and we've not even done 2 hours. So if we're timing ourselves 4 to 6, it's moderate enough. Than bringing it to 3, then maybe by 4:35 we'll be rounding up. And what happens the rest of the day. So we can still give members the opportunity to rest a little after service. That is one. Timing. Let's look into bringing it back to our normal form, please. Well, I believe the escrow and the house can discuss about that. Then number two is I want to suggest we have this virtual meeting once in 3 months, every quarter, instead of monthly. It's a really distraction to the meeting. It's like we're just coming here for a seminar or a talk show where the president decides, read everything that we want to discuss, and it doesn't give room for real interaction. It makes the meeting very dull, and participation is not that active. It's a really distraction. We can have our monthly meetings, those residing in Asaba, and make this virtual meeting once every quarter. I believe that will, at least when we've had meetings several then that quarterly we don't say, okay, everybody, you need to hold your phone for this meeting or something like that. I believe we would have had better discussion within us, present, than something like this. Because this will certainly discourage people coming to physical meetings, except we are gradually going away from physical meetings. Because I might just decide to my house, on my laptop, so I'll let me participate. Do you want to tell me Emedo job is not Asaba? And it's comfortable. That's true. Sooner or later, it should just be meeting for schools. Everybody will run back to, like, I wanted to do same because you get out of the this afternoon. But I just said no, I need to end my points. If we go with this monthly, it will discourage physical meetings, and that will discourage bonding here in Asaba, which was supposed to be promoted. And that, thirdly, I believe we have a capable. I believe we have a capable secretary. But how do this secretary now combines both minutes or suggestion or thoughts from the online platform and the discussion online? You'll find out we'll like 4 pages of notebooks or one. So we'll see how we can make the job easy for him, because I've been seeing him. So I got the record journalist. He's recording. Records to make the work easy. But even making the work easy, how will he capture this in the minute? And when here this point comes, like when Emedo John made suggestion or something, he has written fast there. So if he wants to add this to the minute, he will not start. I don't know if this thing has a storage capacity that can save whatsoever chart. Then he will now start looking the chart, looking his manual notebook, listening to the recorded thing. The married man, he has a job. We need to make this job easy for him and know how we can. If we're taking this, let us face this. If we're taking suggestions from here, let's know how we can use that system. Let me drop this theory for now. So that I'll other questions. Thank you.
Mr. President, I think Martins has a question. Martins Chukuji is having a question.
Okay. Can we get your question, Patricia and Chukwudi? Is that he unmutes or types?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Thank you very much.
Oh, all right. Good evening, colleagues, fellow patricians. I think first and foremost, I appreciate the current ESCOs as well as every member of the house. I'm really impressed. This is actually the way to go. I understand that we have some teething issues, but it's something that we have to do collectively. So, in as much as to an extent, I'm just speaking from my opinion. Some persons might feel maybe the excos are trying to be executing a leadership whereby they detect things. I think what they are doing currently, they are not really detecting. It's just a way to set a pace so that we can all conform to. So I want to really say well done to the ESCOs. However, there's a lot more for us to do. I've listened to the last speaker, especially with his second point, whereby you need to de-escalate virtual meetings to maybe quarterly and physical meetings monthly so as to encourage bonding in Asaba. That's a valid point. But all these things is as a result of setup. If we had the funding or we have the help, because sometimes it might not even really be funding. Take for example, if it were to be in Abuja here, I could actually use my office space to set up a system whereby even somebody who is sitting physically and somebody who is virtually present can all participate and everybody will understand. So my point is, we could get it right whereby both physical and virtual will all be in the same meeting and nobody will feel like, okay, you need to use somebody's phone because all that is necessary is available. But because we are just starting and we understand, then we are facing these challenges. We just need to think deep how best to come up to do things. We cannot take away the diasporans. I'm not saying also that we should not accommodate the thoughts that this would discourage physical bonding. So the question is, let's all think deep. What can we do to bridge this gap? It's a major one. Now, finally, I want to appeal to the ESCOs. For the every Tuesday session that is being done, is it? I've seen the turnout for this virtual meeting. It's actually low. Maybe we need to do more awareness. Is it possible to convert that meeting to a virtual one, whereby I know some of us have that means where you have a Zoom license that you can share in when you're doing a Zoom license, it's at that meeting we don't need physical one. Everybody is it's usually on Tuesday, it's usually around 8 p.m. and I think some people are already back home. So is it possible for us to secure a Zoom license from colleagues or from fellow patricians who have, for us to do those meetings, those briefings virtually? It's highly educational, but somebody waiting for the next 10 minutes for somebody to post, for that person to hear and now respond, I understand. So what I'm proposing is, let's make it a bit interesting. Whoever is giving a topic puts up a slide presentation. You're giving a Zoom license, we all join and you present to us and we all discuss. The Zoom is recorded, the presentation is there. At the end of the meeting, we drop it on the chat. For those who missed it, who would probably download, if they see how interesting it is, subsequently they will join. And that will also improve participation in other Zoom or virtual things we'll be doing. So this is my humble submission, and I would appreciate if the house would look into it, and let's see how we can take it further. Over.
Thank you, Patricia and Chukwuji. Your observation, suggestions are noted and will be given due consideration. Thank you very much. Now, gentlemen, There's one more appeal that I want to make now that we are under AOBs. So far so good since we've started this whole activity templates for the week. You will all agree with me that our weeks have been a little bit more structured via the platform. It might interest you to know that this activity template takes some commitment and discipline to adhere to, and I'm glad to say that we have all lived up to the billing as gentlemen. So I want to appreciate and applaud all of us for knowing what we should do on Monday and what we should do on Tuesday and the days after. Specifically for Tuesday, it has been my practice to reach out to a noble brother and appeal, say, okay, please take this lecture. If you would all notice, as the executives, we took the bull by the horn. I remember vividly, the first lecture was taken by Mr. Treasurer here, and the second lecture was taken by Mr. VP. And I think the third was now taken by Barrister Arthur Izocha, who I did reach out to personally. And then I took the last one. But I'm finding it that it's a drag. Some people are not really enthusiastic to share their knowledge with us. So I would like to make an appeal to please, anybody that has any interesting topic, it mustn't necessarily be so much academic per se, but anything you feel will be beneficial to the house. Because take for instance, a lot of brothers have reached out to me to say how interesting and valuable Patrician Izocha's lecture was, because a lot of us are tenants and our eyes were opened to so many ramifications or facets of the landlord-tenant relationship. So please, I'm appealing to any noble brother who has any important or topical discussion to please private chat me, DM me directly on the weekend prior to the next week, because we need ample time to set up and do the publicity. Because also, yes, I would like to notify us that Patrician Muiwa is helping us manage the Facebook page. So most times we get to post the flyers for the lectures to the Facebook page. And I must confess that has been also a veritable tool of disseminating information. I know 3 or 4 people who have, through that platform, requested to be added to the WhatsApp platform. So please, I would encourage all of us to, at any point in time, please, if you have any topic, reach me personally. You can DM me. Everybody here knows that I am always online, although I don't do Yahoo. You can call me anytime you want to call me. My phone is always on, and I will be happy to take your call anytime, any day, with any suggestions you have and any requests to take lectures. So please let us let's do well to key into the Tuesday talks in that regard. Initially, Patrician Ejike Agu had appealed, in addition to some other people, that the timing, which we initially used to put at 9 p.m. was too late because some people go to bed early. So that is why, or that has necessitated the review of the timing back to 8 o'clock. So we believe that at least, even for our brothers in Lagos, most especially, hopefully most of you should be back home by 7. I know that it is a Herculean task, but for those of us that are not back home, please stay safe while you are in the vehicle. Keep your hand inside the vehicle. Don't be pressing your phone outside, so that they will not take your phone from you while in traffic. we must always be security conscious and be vigilant. Thank you. Mr. VP, you have the floor now to speak.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. President. I really want to thank every member who have contributed thus far. I would like to comment briefly on what President Emeritus said as regards his 3 points. I will first of all start with his timing, which he said the meeting was 3 p.m. Definitely, we know that we don't have a conducive environment for the virtual meeting, and most of us will be using the camera. And when we start our meetings by 4, obviously before 5:36, everywhere will be dark, and I think that's why the suggestion came that we should revise the time to 3 p.m. But considering the fact that it might be affecting the physical presence of the meeting, I am sure that Mr. President will look into that, and maybe if we can get a conducive environment whereby we can host our meeting without distractions, it will go a long way to help people in diaspora participate actively in this meeting. Then his own request for us to have the virtual meeting once in 3 months, I think it requires more awareness on our WhatsApp platform. There are a lot of people in diaspora online today. Today we'll be able to have close to 14 members who were online, and this is the first time we are having our virtual meeting. I am very optimistic that subsequently, when we have our virtual meetings, we'll still have people that will come and join. But his major concern was also for the secretary's ability to record his minutes via the chat platform and the physical platform. But like we said during the test run of this platform, Mr. Secretary has all the details of all the chats that are going on presently. So immediately after this meeting, he will be able to virtually see all the chats, comments, and questions that have been asked so far, and they will all be included in his meeting. And also the recording aspect, considering the fact that the size we have will be too heavy, this meeting is also recorded and will be made available to every member that is not present. So Mr. Secretary also has the ability to be able to go through these recordings and make do with those he was not able to capture. So I would still appeal to the House that for the benefit of those of us in diaspora, I'm very happy to have seen some, even those outside the country, they are here present with us, and I think they are very happy to participate in this meeting. There are sometimes whereby suggestions, valid and vital suggestions, are being carried out by only those in Asaba, which I think will not be too appropriate or too okay. If 2/3 of the House present in Asaba attends the meeting and is carried and is agreed, it remains binding to those in diaspora, which is not fair to those in diaspora. So I would suggest that we, the ESCOs, continue to create more publicity and appeal to those in Asaba that they should try as much as possible to participate in the physical meeting, and the virtual meeting is only for those in diaspora. And I'm very sure that as he made reference to Patricia and Emejo, he actually, I think he has heard, and I'm very, very sure that in subsequent meetings he will try as much as possible to make himself available for the meeting. Therefore, Patricia Martin's suggestion as regards the virtual meeting for Tuesday, I think is what we'll look into. But I feel he's saying about the Zoom platform. I believe that why we opted for the Google Meet platform is we don't want a situation whereby we'll start looking for those with license. We'll call Martin, please, let's use your license for tomorrow. Next week we'll call Efe, please, let's use your license. Upper week we'll call Oyem, let's use your license. No, we don't want that. And we don't want a situation whereby we'll be going to our pause to get $71 or $72 to pay for a Zoom platform. Virtually everything we can do on the Zoom platform, the Google Meet can also achieve that. So except for the raising of hand, if you want to speak, and that can be achieved via the provost on the chat platform. So I believe that even if the executives are going to look into the Tuesday meeting being virtual, which I think might not be ideal for now, but I think the ESCOs will decide on that, then let's continue with the Google Meet so that we don't have to start begging people to give us their license to host our meeting. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Mr. VP, for that beautiful response to your observations. Your answers are well and timely. Thank you very much. Patricia and Isaac Okoye has some observations to make. You have the floor now. Great. Please speak up.
I want to apologize first for coming late for today's meeting. I have some suggestions and some information, although the VP addressed some of the things I wanted to say. Firstly, let me start by appreciating the SPC, Mr. President. You have done well. The little time of the collaboration, you have been able to show us that there's a plan for the group, and within the time frame of your tenure, that there's a place we hope to achieve. I appreciate you and your SPC Minister taking too far. Firstly, Emeka's suggestion concerning holding virtual meetings in every 3 months and physical meetings of members that are present here at Asaba. I think we are trying to build a structure. And one thing I believe is the strength of every organization is in numbers. We have the numbers in this association. We have huge numbers. Building a structure is not something you do under 1 day or under 1 week or under 1 year. It takes some time, depending on how the persons that are involved operate. Now, we have maximum number. We know we have people here at Asaba. And Mr. President, your tenure is just kicking off. We cannot achieve this thing we hope to achieve under the short time frame. You have a plan. And the plan is to move the association to an enviable position. You cannot, or you might not be able to drag everybody on the same pace. You might not be able to move everybody to align with your objectives or with the plans of your team on the same page. But when you keep up to what you are doing, whether you like it or not, people are saying it. Whether you like it or not, people are online on the WhatsApp page. They know what is happening. And when this meeting is posted on the page, they will see some of them will hear. Gradually, the interest of people will begin to come up. When we go out on events, when we do things as a group or association, even the people that are not there, they will hear. You understand? These things kind of motivate interest. Before you know it, people that have never been in physical meetings like this, we need to see them one by one. Mr. President Emeritus, the meeting, the SPC O2 set did not start like this. You know how you started. You know how you grew it and grew it to that level where you have brought it that our present president took the mantle of leadership. So I want to appeal, instead of limiting this virtual meeting to once every 3 months or whatever, I think I, as resident here at Asaba, as a member, has the same ground or the same right as someone who is in Malaysia or someone who is in the US. So the person cannot have access to a physical meeting here at Asaba. Why we should create the forum for the person to join every other meeting? And the same penalty, there's no organization that doesn't have rules and regulations. So as much as a social group, it shouldn't be a free hand thing. It's upon you and your escorts to bring out reasonable penalties for people that we now know that members resident at Asaba are not permitted, as say, unquote, to be on the online meeting. They're supposed to be physical in the meeting. You understand? So when you see a member resident at Asaba in the physical meeting without any prior permission from any of the schools, is considered as being absent from the meeting. So I don't know the policy you are going to set up on this. I don't know the rules you are going to bring out, but there should be a penalty. If I miss meetings for 3 consecutive months, I just once a month for Christ's sake. So everybody is busy, whether you like it or not. Everybody is busy. It's just about priority. It's just about priorities. I can make out my time to be there. Any other person can still make out his time to be there. So if you can bring out some policies or agenda or rules that will guide members and their participation in the group, it will help to give these things a lift in a possible time frame. So secondly, I want to talk about the Tuesday's presentation concerning what Martin Studio said. Yes, it's a very nice thing that your ESCO brought up. But I buy the idea of Martin Studio that if you can have those presentations in a Zoom platform where everybody can always book and watch it live instead of this timing thing. Most times, when you miss out that timing and come back to the group, you see about 500 messages, you see about 700 messages, half the fee where you want to start from. No, it's just the truth. Where are you going to start from? So, but if I know that, okay, we have the Zoom meeting that reading and typing is too much. Yes, it is. It's not when you are listening to something or when you are listening to it different from when you're typing it or when you are reading. So I think although it's not compulsory that it's going to be as urgent as possible, but I still employ you to look into it to see if you can make it in a Zoom platform whereby people can always book and watch the live presentation, and everybody that has something to say will just say it instead of typing. It makes the group so choked up. Make the group so choked up. I know there are some persons now that when they come and see whatever, like 200, 250, 300, 100 messages, and we just push it again. You understand? So if there's a way we can limit it so that if you also give value, to the group, that whatever has been posted is very, very important. You just go and be on a very short time, you just go and read it. It also encourage participation, and it will just give the group a Facebook.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Mr. VP, you can give the floor now to Patricia Noferi to make his observation.
Mr. Foy, please, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I just want to say kudos, guys. This is a great one, a great innovation. Yeah. And I just wanted my kudos. And I wanted to address the virtual issue. The virtual issue. I think the purpose of a meeting is to deliberate on issues, right? And with the way the world is going right now, that can be achieved online as well. All right. And I believe that the minority of people, of patricians of our sets, are the ones in Asaba. I think the majority are not in Asaba. Am I right? I don't have the statistics.
Yeah.
Exactly. And a situation where the minority are the ones in Asaba, it will be doing a great disservice to the other patricians who are not resident in Asaba not to have virtual meetings. Everything we achieve in a physical meeting can be achieved in a virtual meeting. And by the way, that's the way the world is going right now, especially with, if we have learned anything from COVID-19, it's that most things can happen online that we used to do. And that, I just wanted to boost that point that the virtual meeting is the way to go. even for the lectures that happen on every Tuesday. You know, a situation where we cannot even start a video lecture. I think the speakers can and should record themselves, you know, and their lecture and post it online in the platform. I mean, and people can respond after a particular time. You know, that's one way to go as well. And yeah, that's it. And really, I just wanted to say a big thumbs up to the ESCOs. Olie Baba, I see you. You're too much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, then.
Yeah. So, do we have any other observations?
Let me just throw one. The one I have is just a suggestion to an appeal to the experts. It's concerning birthdays. I am appealing for the law concerning birthday, telling the ESCOs before the ESCO immediately abolished. My own suggestion is for only birthdays. Any member can post the birthday of a fellow member. You know, something they will verify whether the person, they want the person that day also. He might have this close relationship with the person that he wants to just tell these people how this guy is. Then do one or two prayers and so. Then everybody follows suit or just give him best wishes. Wait, I'm coming, chill. I will take an example with what happened last week. Honestly, I found it was very difficult for me to draw the notice of the birthday of Chichionduka and Chidi's and birthday, the share same birthday. I don't want I don't like, do I send my wishes to the ESCO first or just draw them attention to it or as I was just battling with myself, I just carried on, called both of them and wished them and just went up. And those two persons, nobody saw their birthdays anywhere or whatsoever to wish them in the platform. They didn't have any wishes. They have. She didn't have. Because I think the 1992 or so my own suggestion or appeal is if the rules would be a little bit only the birthdays, I'm not talking of any other post or whatsoever. It's a suggestion. At least it's an appeal, not a suggestion, an appeal. So just closing up the birthdays. At least it will be fun for a fellow practitioner to upload or than waiting for any of the experts to post.
Okay, noted. Let me respond to you, Mr. President Emeritus. Let me start on the jovial note. Am I not your fellow patrician? So, and then, to be honest, now you've raised it up. The truth is, this past week, for every post you have seen me about somebody's birthday, most people are not my friends on Facebook. I don't use my Facebook because normally it's Facebook that reminds you of somebody's birthday. It will interest you to do that. For everybody's birthday that I have acknowledged this past week, I was reminded by somebody. Take for instance, I will give you an example. Some days back when Mr. Feinsek commemorated his birthday, I was, as I said, I'm always online. I'm not a Yahoo boy. When Mr. VP wished him a happy birthday in our ESCO chat and DM'd me directly that today is Mr. Feinsek's birthday. And I appealed to him Immediately, I quickly ran to his WhatsApp and DP. His picture was not there. So I told Mr. VP, please, if you have his picture, kindly send it to me, because I don't think me and him are friends on Facebook. And that picture you saw there was sent to me by Mr. VP. I'll be open enough and honest enough to admit it. I'm not omnipotent to know everybody's birthday. That will be born you. Today that you saw this person's birthday, what is his name? Victor Odiachi. Victor Odiachi. It was also somebody that sent it to me. Different people send different people's birthdays to me. You understand? Where I would ask, or question I was, when you said you had difficulty reaching one of the SOs, was it in terms of no data then, or you felt it's huge?
It's a double, as in a duplication of tax kind of process. It's a double process. Instead of me just wishing once and going out with my mom, because sometimes I can be most times I'm extremely busy.
Okay.
That I just pick the phone because I had a reminder on Facebook. I just like, oh, this week, oh. So I just type the message instead of pasting the message on our platform once, and I believe you will see it. I will have to now duplicate it. I'm just talking on my own side, from my own view.
Yes.
So if it will be possible, one as a just so easy to not. It's an appeal. It's not a must, or it's an appeal. If you guys said no, life goes on. Everybody sees they change their life. So, but I just
President noted your appeal. Although I would like to ask, just as an aside, that so far so good in what you've noticed with any of us, still putting somebody's picture and wishing the person happy birthday. That I put it first doesn't mean I love the person more or most. You understand? It has just been tied a little bit that way. Tomorrow I may be commemorating my birthday and I don't want it on the platform. Do you know that? I may be commemorating and I wouldn't want it to be put on the platform. So, but if someone sends it and says, "Oh, today my birthday," then that your friend really has you at heart, so to speak. We will take your appeal under advisement as per relaxing that clause that it must be posted by an. You understand? If I remember vividly, when we streamlined the law, there was an incident that happened of somebody announcing the birth of another person's child. And I considered that message to be private to the person. That is why on that issue, there was a back and forth, I remember, and it was handled. But later I saw reason with something like birthday, like you said. It's to me a harmless piece of information. You understand? So your observation is noted, and we will take it under advisement. I am seeing, sorry, Mr. Fine, sorry. I am seeing that Patricia and Major John has his hand up. Let's be able to be diverse. Now one person has spoken here. Let somebody virtually speak. So you will speak. So please, Patricia and Major, you can unmute yourself and make your contribution.
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I greet my fellow patricians, the executive. Please, I really want to plead with the House as regards my inability to be present at the meeting physically, but to a great extent, I'm physically present based on the online stream I'm joining through. One of the reasons is because I just moved to my new house and people are visiting me, so that is the reason why I could not leave my house.
Sorry, we didn't get that. Sorry, we didn't hear that.
I said I just couldn't leave my people who are visiting based on the fact that I moved to a new place where they are visiting me, and ever since they have been calling that they are coming. So today,
Okay,
many of them.
people are visiting you. You moved to your own house.
Yes, yes.
Oh, so you have built a house.
God on that side. So that is just it. Please, I would have loved to be there, but I still have to bring out my time while they are around. See, join the meeting via the stream.
Okay.
So I'm begging the house, please. Next meeting,
So
I must do my.
okay. So your appeal or your apology is duly noted. But in response to you, can you hear me, Patricia Nemejo? Can you hear me, Patricia Nemejo? Okay. So yeah. So in response to your appeal is noted, but we must let you know that subsequently, if you live in Asaba and you choose to attend the meeting virtually without good reason and without a prior RSVP to the president directly, when you are on the virtual meeting, you will not be allowed to speak.
Okay.
And if you flout the rule and unmute yourself more than 2 times, you will be ejected from the meeting.
Okay.
So for this case, we take cognizance of today's case. But for future, like yesterday, maybe Papa Emeka would have let you know he was coming today. You understand? You could have told me via message that you will not be able to meet. So we understand that aspect that these things happen. But subsequently, please make out time to attend physically, please, knowing that you are in Asaba.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. You may mute your mic now. So, Mr. Feinsek, please, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would have loved to speak on this story and say what else. Concerning the bread issue, I would say let us update because few weeks people have been added to the forum. So we can create a column for everyone's birthday. So that we won't be having this challenge of like you remind this, you remind this. If the secretary is not available, any of the SO can see dates. So I will on the house, if you can do another update into the house, like your birthday, column for everyone's birthday, so that the program will start. Thank you.
I think the way it should be done, let me add to what he said. Instead of trying to tell everybody now to start bringing up the birthdays, like this is the month of May. I mean, when we get to June, we can tell the house anybody that is celebrating his birthday for June should write the dates on that particular June. When you get to July, people celebrating July. If you did not tell us that you're celebrating on July, we will not post you and tell you happy birthday on July. Let us just do it. So that by that time,
sorry to cut your breath. That one would be too harsh. His own is better. Reason being that you have the record forever.
This particular one too.
You'll be keeping, but you will lose those from January to now.
Oh, are we ending the group this December?
No,
you know what? I don't want to make we begin talk so we carry the wire. But don't pass them out.
When we add any new member, we just tell the person. Any new member, you not tell the person, please introduce yourself proper and your date of birth and so
any which way, Sha. Any which way.
All observations, gentlemen, all observations on this matter have been noted, and the secretariat, who is the custodian of all records of membership will be duly notified as to as to how to come up with a template for update of membership information. So, but Mr. Secretary, breathe easy, don't worry. We will make sure that we'll make sure that we help you. Gentlemen, time is fast spent. This meeting was supposed to last for 2 hours thereabouts, but I want to sound an appeal, please. This issue of time, like you say, timekeeping. For now, we put this time by 3 because of the use of for virtual meeting and sunlight, daylight, and then the conduciveness of we don't have someone designated venue just now. Initially, when we came, we were outside, but some other occupants or customers of this establishment were kind of there, and it was not conducive, and that's why we came in. You understand? So please, I will appeal that from now, the time still be retained by 3. Another reason is knowing somebody like Mr. President Emeritus. There's a time he has for extracurricular activities. And the time is, we are getting there, yes, we are getting there now. So it will be good that we don't take much of your time. We can just do 3 to 4, and then you can just take off to go through your schedule, your weekend schedule, like we rightly know. So please, for now, I will appeal and crave everybody's indulgence, and the time still remains 3 o'clock for now. Thank you very much.
I would like to suggest that as these issues come up, that's the thing. If you want it to be like 3, if you want it to be like 4, you state your reasons.
Well, for now, hold on, Mr. Secretary. Hold on, Mr. Secretary. For now, because of the mix of physical and virtual, that voting thing is going to be. Hold on. For now, that voting is not. I would say for now that voting is not advisable. Sorry if I'm sounding a little bit authoritarian. There are some decisions which will be made within the group, which are definitely made in the best interest of the group, but might not tally or might not fall in line with one individual member or the other. It doesn't mean that anybody is being hated or witch-hunted or marginalized. But we appeal to you to please bear with us. One thing we will tell you people is our ears. You have 6 ears that you can keep on talking into. We are a listening executive, and we will always listen. But please, there are some decisions that you should just bear with us for the now, for the time being. In the event of no other business at hand. Okay, sorry, let me just mention one thing. I want to acknowledge the presence of Patricia Way is here. Please, can you stand up so that we acknowledge you and the house sees you? So the virtual people, we can see him. We attended his event some weeks back, and we were adequately hosted. We thank God for your newborn. We pray that God gives you the grace, and we have not forgotten the appeal which we made to you. It might interest you to know that at least we've been able to get the account up and running, and we have gotten a checkbook for the account. So whatever disbursements or whatever pledge we had made to you will be redeemed subsequently. In the event that other matter of discussion, would someone
Mr. President, please. Mr. President, sorry.
Okay.
Mr. James has a 1-minute briefing for us, please.
Okay, please, can we make it brief? Mr. Yem, you have the floor now. Kindly unmute your mic.
Okay, good afternoon, patricians. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, just that it's been long. I wanted to say that when we were talking about the birthdays and stuff like that, everything is all about having a proper database. I don't need to start posting so that others will follow. The ESCOs, there are apps that can do this job that will just send you notification and all those things. You understand what I'm saying? If we have a proper database, this is not even an issue. Just like Patricia Noferi said, with what is happening in the world today, there are a lot of things we can do virtually. I don't need to post a Dozier's picture because a Dozier is my guy to show the to top fellow president that today is his birthday. With a proper database and with the right apps, all these things can pop up. Because you see this birthday thing, I belong to another group. Some people take it personal. If you don't post or say anything about their birthdays, they take it personal as if because they are not be their guy. So please let us work on our database moving forward. If we have a proper database, all those things will be issue. All those birthdays and all and there are apps that can do it. There are apps that can send you notification that so birthday. The banks, how do they do it? Do I send message to UB or EcoBank to tell them that today is my birthday? I'll just do on my own and they send me message that happy birthday, Mr. So person. Happy birthday, Mr. So person. So it's still possible. Thank you very much. And up gunners.
Thank you for your observation. Thank you for your Thank you. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, time is fast spent, and I'm going to appeal to us. We can't take everybody's range of contributions today. Please, for today, we have had history being made. There's no doubt. History has been made. This has happened, and we have seen that it's possible. You understand? So all our contributions and observations are duly noted and will be put into the recycling bin to come up with something better. Thank you very much for your time. That is for the people who showed up physically for the meeting. And for the people who joined the meeting virtually, we thank you very so much for your commitment and your passion in wanting to be involved in the meeting. We hope to see more of you as time goes on. At this point in time, I want someone to move a motion for the adjournment of this meeting. So is anybody moving a motion for adjournment of this meeting?
On remove chapter the answers of any other discussion we did, motion next.
So please, who is seconding the motion for adjournment? Thank you very much. At this point in time, I will call on Patrician Agbede Friday to please give us a closing prayer.
In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Thank you for giving us the wisdom and knowledge to carry out our agenda. We ask that you strengthen us to carry out every plan and schedule we have ahead of this year and more in the name of Jesus. Let us go out to our respective rendezvous. You go with us in the name of Jesus. Make us one say thank you. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And at this juncture, we will log out. Thank you very much.
Sorry, this one is not fresh. I want to appreciate the house. Those that came.
Hey, don't one log out. Darlington, are you there?
I'm still here.
Why those guys in a hurry to log out?
They want to drink.
Evil men.
They want to drink beer.
Evil men. They won't log out.
They want to drink beer.
Now they work now. You know, let it do their whole body again. It does itching to move.
Good to see you, man.
Same here,
Good
brother.
to see you, my brother.
Same here. Operating your
right,
face too.
I'm
very good, bro. I'm good. Nice seeing you, man.
Okay,
Thank you so much. All right, bro.
All right, you guys have a great Sunday.
Thank you very much. You too. Bye.
Sunday meeting, man. I don't go. Meeting don't end. Meeting cannot sense. I'm carrying out there. For one name, me expect.
Yeah, why am I skill?
More to the go that skill.
Where the glass cup now?